Hey there. So we're going to go through two different strengths tests. Same person. One was taken in high school. The second one was taken the summer before senior year when they're involved in an internship. And it's pretty interesting to see how things have stayed the same, but yet how so many things have changed too. So the first thing I do is take all 34 and line them up side by side to compare where they fell for each time. The second thing I do is count up to see how many fall in each of the dominant domains. And the first time it was 6 relationship building, 2 strategic thinking, 1 influencing, and 1 executing. The second time, 7 relationship building, 1 influencing, 2 executing, and no strategic thinking this time. And the interesting thing is that 1 influencing strength is different. It's not the same one. So let's dive in and see what these results tell us. So the first one is achiever, and the first time it was taken, it was number 34. They wanted nothing to do with setting goals, nothing to do with focusing on accomplishments, and now it's number 11. So this tells me that a lot of times when you're in a point in your life when you don't really know where you're going and you don't have a clear direction, it's hard to set goals and get excited about hitting different benchmarks and accomplishments as you go. But when you figure things out and you feel like you're on the right path and you have a little bit more of a sense of direction, then for some people like this one, now all of a sudden goals are very important to set. I think sometimes that comes into play too when maybe you don't have to pay bills and take care of financials when you're younger, and now all of a sudden you're on the cusp of, oh boy, I have to do this all on my own. I better set some goals for myself on how I'm going to be able to handle that. So the next one is activator. 22 and 26 stays about the same in just a supporting role for this person. Adaptability went from 9 to 19. So when they were a little bit younger, they were a little bit more about being in the present moment, a little bit easier going, a little bit more go with the flow. It hasn't dropped real low for them now, but it's taken more of a supporting role instead of that natural, this is my go-to with things. Analytical stayed virtually the same, 24 and 23. Arranger went from 18 to 21, again about the same. Belief, however, went from 25 to 8. So belief is now in their top 10. So that tells me that they have developed a stronger set of values and ethics and things that they believe to be very important and can be stubborn about and use as their maybe even like a foundation or part of their direction of where they want to go. Their beliefs have gotten much stronger about whatever it is in life. Those can be a variety of different things. Command is, it was 23 and now it's 31. So just a little bit less. It's kind of in that stress zone of, I don't want to have to be the one to take charge. I don't want to be the one to speak up and get loud about things. I'm happier to just take that quieter role, I guess. And again, this might change. Who knows? The next time they take it. Communication went from 21 to 4. I think they found their voice. They feel maybe more confident in speaking out. Maybe they're learned how to be more articulate and putting their thoughts into words. And so communication is high. Maybe they also found a value for, hey, communication is actually pretty important. And we can't just stay quiet about things in life for them. Some people, that's how they roll. They don't talk a lot, and that's, again, not personal, it's just their process. Quick check-ins, get to the point, that's how they operate. But we saw a shift here where they're finding more value in sharing their thoughts. Competition, 32, 34, so no comparisons here. Don't have that drive to have to win. It can really stress them out when they're comparing. So my advice to them is just stay in your lane and don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Just do you and focus on that. And don't worry about where it falls in line with somebody else, either where they're at where you are now or where they were when they were your age or whatever it is. You just do things your way. Connectedness was number 15 and now it's number 9. So a little bit more spiritual, a little bit more everything happens for a reason. It's all meant to be. Maybe a little less need to feel in control of things that they really don't have control over. So that may have shifted a little bit. Consistency went from 8 to 16. So a little bit drop in the, I like things to be regimented. We have to follow all the rules. I want systems and processes in place. So maybe a little bit more easygoing as far as something like that. Context, 31 and 29. So still pretty low on the value of the past and having that need to repeat how things have been done, and they've always been done like this, so we need to keep doing things like that. Not quite an innovator, but not somebody who has to just follow with what's been always going on. Deliberative stayed exactly the same at number 30, so overthinking does not serve them well at all. Going down rabbit holes is not a good place for them to live. They don't have that need to have to figure out every obstacle that might come up before they do something. Now we saw activator is not necessarily high, so they don't jump in with 2 feet first without thinking it through at all, but they don't need to ruminate over it before they can take action. And then developer stayed at number 2. So always seeing that potential, especially in other people. And they really want to be encouraging with that and cultivate it. And where they can get a little bit hung up on something like this is when you see potential in somebody that they may not see in themselves. It can be very frustrating. And it can come off as condescending sometimes when you're telling them, I know you can do this, you've got it. And maybe that doesn't fall real well with that person. So you have to watch the way you manage the developer strength. Discipline went from 11 to 17, so not a huge change, but the schedule and the having to be very regimented about what they're doing softened a little bit. Empathy stayed at number 1. So still that natural heart of taking on other people's emotions and feelings and situations as if they were your own. And this is a wonderfully compassionate strength to have, but it can also be one that can get you in some trouble for yourself and with other people. And what that means is you can take on too much and you can feel yourself being stressed out and bogged down and weighed down by something that is not even a part of your actual direct life, but you're taking it on as if it were. So you really have to watch your boundaries. Really, really, especially with it being number 1, have to watch your boundaries so that you don't get lost in other people's stuff. Stick with yours. Now, the second thing to watch out for with this is when you feel other people and you sense what's going on with them, you assume that you know what they're going through, what they've been through, what's on their mind, what they're feeling. And a lot of times we're wrong with that. We don't really know. We just think we do because we're picking up on something, and then our brain kicks in, and especially with deliberative low, you can take yourself into a whole overthinking realm with the way that somebody's behaving, and that that energy that they're giving off, that you're grabbing, and you assume you know what's going on with them, but you don't, and you can often be wrong with that. So it's something to really, really be careful with. This is where you lean into that newfound communication strength, and you have the conversations, and you talk with somebody about it, and you actually find out what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what they've been through, what their perspective is. And you realize that, oh, maybe it's not what I thought this whole time. Maybe it's something completely different. And now I can connect with them, which is super important to this person with 7 relationship building traits. I can connect with them on a more authentic level now and deepen a relationship because I actually do know and understand them. Focus was 27, now 25, same situation there. Futuristic went from 12 down to 18, so maybe not quite as invigorated about what's to come and excited and live their life for the next. Now, they don't have adaptability super high. Context is low, and futuristic isn't super high. So this person does not live their life based on time frames. It's just live life. That's it. It doesn't matter. I don't have to be all peace in the moment. I don't have to be excited and focused on what the future is, but I also don't ruminate about the past because that doesn't do well for me. So that tells me that they can be very centered and balanced with things, and that's awesome. So harmony was number 4 and now is number 10. So still up there in their natural, but took just a little bit lower role in terms of the need to make peace and make sure that nobody's rocking the boat, and be the one to step in to make sure that everything is smooth and good. They can handle it just a little bit better now when there's a conflict. Still not very good at conflict, but can handle it just a tiny bit better. But still like to avoid it at all costs, for sure. Ideation went from number 29 to 20, so not a huge change there. A little bit more creativity peeking through, but not a big swing. Includer went from 17 to 27, so a little bit of a drop on that in terms of feeling that they want to make sure that everybody's involved, and the more the merrier, maybe as they've now experienced more people and they've gotten outside of that small high school bubble and they've branched out into the college bubble, they realize that maybe not everybody needs to be treated and thought of as the same and included in everything that's going on, that it's okay for people to have niches in what they're doing. Which brings me to individualization, which was 10 and is now 7. So very much natural to see the uniqueness and appreciate the uniqueness and not have people fit into categories or again, have to be included in everything. Like, it's okay for these people to be this way and want to hang out with these people. We don't all have to be one, but having said that, we definitely respect one another, and I'm sure that falls into those higher beliefs and that individualization too. So just because people are unique and different from one another, everybody still deserves the right to be respected. Input went from 5 to 13, so a little bit of a drop on the natural desire to gather information, pull in as much information as possible in order to share with other people. They want to be resourceful, be a resource by being resourceful. So pull in that information, hang on to it. If somebody needs something, oh, I know that, I've got it, here it is. So still up there, still 13, but boy, there for a while, that was their compass strength, and that really led them, and that's what they were all about, and now that's changed a little bit. Intellection went from 6 down to 22, so not as introspective, not as deep, doesn't need the deep conversations to feel connected to people. They can feel a little bit more confident in their connections without it having to go to that level. They don't necessarily feel the need to peel back the layers of themselves. Maybe they feel like they have a better perspective and a better awareness now of who they are, that they don't have to keep digging and digging. It's like, nope, this is who I am. This is what I am. This is what you get. This is me. And I don't have to peel it apart and try to figure it all out. It just is. And then learner went from 16 to 12. So still that thirst, even more so now, to gather information for themselves. Really want to learn something before they feel comfortable in diving into it. And then maximizer actually went from number 7 down to 28. So maximizer is when you are all about betterment and you just have that need to strive for the best. And if you get a 98% on something, you are not satisfied. Next time I gotta push to that 100. So maybe after, again, going from that high school bubble to that college bubble, things are getting more difficult in life, more challenges are coming your way, and maybe you're realizing that, you know what, I still am enough with being myself without having to worry about always pushing to that next. That doesn't define me. So that could be what is a reflection of this trait change. Positivity went from 3 to 5, so this is now their compass strength. So they are still very much about seeing the good in things, and especially people with 7 relationship building strengths will always immediately first default to the good in people. And it might even take a while to tell them otherwise. Some of those beliefs might come in to work on both sides of that. Some of the beliefs might come in to support that positivity, but they might also come in and say, oh, wait a minute, you know what? Maybe not everyone is as good as I hope and think that they are. And they're crossing over my ethics now, and that's now posing a little bit of a problem for me. But regardless, it is their compass strength. It is their driving force on finding the good and being positive about things that are going on, and especially people. Again, this is one to be careful of, though, because positivity is actually a very judgy strength. And you often don't have patience for people who aren't as positive about things as you are. And this, actually, no matter what age you are, sometimes that has a little reflection in it in terms of just experience with life and the world and what's going on. And sometimes the older people get, the more jaded they can get about things, but not always. So a lot of it is just perspective, but just be a little careful with the positivity and realize that just because somebody else doesn't view things the same way that you do doesn't mean they're wrong. And that's going to be a big lesson for this person in terms of their belief high and the positivity and some of the other strengths, empathy, some of these other strengths that they have high. Believe in what you want to believe in, think the way that you think, nurture it, feel proud about it, do it, but realize that other people's strengths line up differently, and that doesn't mean that they're wrong if they don't see things the same way that you do. And then relator went from 19 up to 3. So they're figuring out that they prefer smaller circles with stronger connections. They don't necessarily have to be friends with everybody. They can compartmentalize. These are my work people, these are my school people, these are my family people, these are my lifelong friend people, whatever it might be. Have those circles and get really close with the people in those circles. And it can be sometimes a little difficult to get into your circle because you have like a natural vetting process that somebody needs to go to. You are a bit more guarded now than what you used to be. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, there's no good or bad, right or wrong with any of these. It's just something to be aware of and to know about yourself. And then responsibility went from 14 up to 6. So responsibility now is much stronger for you in terms of you want to be accountable. You want to show up for people. You also expect other people to show up for you in the same way. And so dependability and loyalty is gotten more important for this person. And then restorative, 2024, about the same, not really about problems, don't really want to talk about problems. It's not up to you to come up with the solution to the problems. You prefer to put those rose-colored glasses on and see the good in everything. You don't want to have to delve into those problems. And then restorative is 20 to 24. I was just talking about that. And self-assurance, that one, 28 to 33. So just a little bit of a dip in the idea that you have all the answers. And you have learner high. This person has learner high. They know that they don't have all the answers, and they are okay with that. But they also know that they can dive in and learn and find things out and figure things out as they go. And that is also going to, I think that you look at that as a benefit when you're starting a career, because you don't go into it thinking, I already know all of this. And if you do put on that persona, it's not authentic. So stay clear of that. Make sure, be mindful of that one, that you're not putting on that persona, because you're not supposed to know everything, especially when you're starting a new job, a new career, a new life, whatever it might be. So be okay with the fact that your self-assurance is lower, and that just means that you don't go around thinking that you have all of the answers, but you certainly will look to find them. And then significance, 26 to 32, again, a bit of a dip in that. You don't have to be the one to change the world. You don't have to be known for what it is that you're doing. So if you work on a project and you work really hard at it, of course you want appreciation, everybody does, but you don't need to be brought up in front of the whole company and be given an award and a pat on the back and have everybody know that you're the one who did this. So this person likes to keep things a little bit more subtle, a little bit behind, under the radar, but work hard and show up for everybody. That responsibility is high, but they don't need to do it for the accolades. That's not what this person is about. Strategic actually went from 33 up to 15. So even though there are 2 strategic thinking strengths that were higher before, and now there's no actual strategic thinking strengths in their top 10, they still had a jump up in the actual strategic strength, which means that they're getting to be more about thinking, creating, learning to come up with a plan and an alternative way of seeing things. Maybe it isn't the way that I've always thought that it was, or maybe things that have always been told to me aren't necessarily actually accurate. And now they're opening up a little bit to a little bit more creative way of looking at things, a little bit more alternative view of stuff, as long as it stays in line with those beliefs and their positivity and other things like that. But they're not going to go too far off the radar. But definitely more about coming up with a plan and figuring out a route, knowing that there's going to be alterations in that route as well. So their path does not have to be set in concrete. Their path can change along the way, but they now are starting to think about that path. And then Wu stayed 13, 14, so about the same as far as that goes. Definitely very able to have conversations with people that they don't know, can do those icebreakers, can network, all of that. It isn't their main driving force, but it certainly doesn't stress them out. So those are some interesting shifts in the strengths from high school going into college and entering into that young adulting career life. So I hope that gave everybody some perspective.